Everybody, this is Renee Wynn with Dana Monson and Company, and I'm here today with my friend Laurie Cole from WFG Title and Escrow. We just got done recording an interview, and we had so much great content that we decided to split it into two. So we'd like you to see the first half, and then make sure that you look for the second one in a couple more weeks. And we're here today to talk about what role escrow plays in buying and selling a home.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start at the beginning. The first time you're probably going to hear the word escrow is right after a purchase and sale contract is agreed upon between a buyer and seller, and the buyer has to deposit earnest money.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about what that is, what that involves?
Yes. So when we get the contract, the listing agent and the selling agent will forward that purchase and sale onto the escrow company that's listed on the contract. Once we receive that, the title team will reach out to the buyer and let them know of the different options they have to deposit earnest money. Mm-hmm. And there's a time limit on getting that earnest money in. So that's usually one of the first things that escrow will do.
Yeah. And usually it's about 3 days after we go into contract. And Laurie, there's several ways that people can deposit earnest money. We usually tell our clients to make sure they have the amount that they put for earnest money in liquid form. And then how can they get that to you?
Yes. So the different options you have are they can drop off a cashier's check at one of the offices that we have. Another option is it's an app, so very similar to the mobile application. If you were to deposit a check through your financial institution, taking a picture of your check, and then it's going to be deposited into the account, that's very similar. So we have an application where the seller or the buyer can do that. And as simple as that, it goes right into their file, their account.
And then what other things are you doing during that about 30 days between when a contract is open and the home is actually sold?
And first, I did want to mention there's another way.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, no worries. One other way they can wire their earnest money as well. Yes. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 different options they could do. The wiring, just to be clear, WFG Escrow will only send a secure portal, but they will call with a code to get into that portal. Because you have to be very careful about when wiring that people are not, hacking into your email and finding out money that you're sending off to different institutions. So just wanted to mention that. So that's another possibility. We've got 3 options, and escrow will walk through any option with the buyer.
Perfect.
But then to your next question, what else happens? A lot happens. There's a lot of moving parts to escrow. And I think for buyers and sellers, just to be aware that escrow is going to walk them through the process. So once we get that contract, escrow is going to reach out, whatever team's working on that transaction, and introduce themselves to the buyers, to the sellers. And they're going to be communicating with the buyers, the sellers, both agents on each side, and as well as the lender if applicable. And so we're our neutral third party, disinterested. We just, our main goal, like everyone else, is to get this transaction closed. But there's a lot of paperwork involved, and escrow will reach out to the buyers and sellers when they need that paperwork, what type of paperwork they need, or what type of documents, so that they're all on the way. And it's just be aware that as soon as you're being requested that information, it's in your best interest of the buyer or the seller just to get that back as soon as possible. Timely, so we can be working towards that closing date.
Because you work for both the buyer side and the seller side, which is why you're a neutral party.
That's right. Exactly right.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that happens during that 30-day process, but closing day can get kind of crazy too, or the few days leading up to closing.
Yeah.
What kind of things are happening near the end of that 30-day period, right before the home transfers to the new buyer?
So throughout the process, the escrow is working on paying off different things, liens that are on title. For the seller. So, it could be things like mortgage liens that are on title, HOA dues,
utility.
Exactly. So what happens is once they've cleared title and they've received all the documentation from the seller, then they're going to be setting up the sellers for signing all their documents that are required in order to sell a home. With the buyers, if there's a lender, they're also working with the lender very closely because there's a lot of loan documents that are involved in that transaction. So we are working with the lender as well. So for buyers, we are depending on that lending, that loan paperwork before we can set the buyers up for their signing.
And Laurie, you wanted to make sure that everybody knew you guys have a really tight time frame. Once you can't get the signing scheduled for the buyers until you have those loan documents. And so once you receive them, the clock is ticking.